Ooh.
Hi, this is Eddie Stone.
Hello, this is Darren.
Hi, Darren. How are you this afternoon?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Good. Thank you.
So you,
Oh, I just want to say thank you
go
for
ahead.
allowing me the time to give you a call. I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you had contacted the company and you wanted to do a Zoom interview, and I think they told me this is for a documentary of some kind, and so I just want to get an idea of, really what's the purpose of this, and
Okay.
the messaging, and how do you plan to use it? Just give me some ideas of this, please.
Sure. So I've noticed a huge increase in zeolites in the past, probably starting 2017, and just I think it first came out in 2006, but I've seen a huge increase since kind of 2017, 18, 19, and a huge popularity in heavy metal detox, and it's kind of a buzzword in the health community. Excuse me. So I just want to cover that, and I want to talk about what products are on the market, what it does in the body, what zeolite does in the body specifically, and I was hoping to talk to someone from different companies, getting some information, because it's kind of hard to find, experts on the thing, and I'm not an expert, so I was just hoping someone could kind of speak on behalf of the products.
Okay. And have you used Zeolite yourself?
No.
Okay. I understand from some of the messaging that I believe it's your wife that's really not a fan of Zeolite. Maybe that's the best way to say it, or maybe there's a more eloquent way to say it.
My wife. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay. So who are you referring to exactly?
I received some messages that said that your wife is vocal in not at all being a fan of zeolites, and I just wondered what role that's playing in all of this.
Well, it's true that my wife has received a lot of adverse reactions, as well as a lot of positive reviews of zeolite. So it's about 50-50, the positive, negative reviews she has received. And it is concerning. There is a public health concern, let's put it that way. And I just want to talk about it, because it's happening, you know?
You mean she has a public health concern?
No,
I'm
the
just
the
trying to make
public.
sure I understand.
Oh, no. The public has a concern because my wife never took it. So she
Okay.
received messages from the public about side effects, adverse reactions, you know. So, and she's also received positive reviews. So I'm just going to do a documentary talking about what's happening. And I wanted to ask you for an interview, or anyone from Touchstone Essentials or Kosovo. I've reached out to them, but nobody has spoken to me yet. I want to talk to sales reps, get everyone's side of the story. I don't want it to be biased. That's why I want you to just tell your version of the story. Because I want it to
And
be
so when you
well
say,
rounded. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. So when you say my side of the story, you mean like, why I think zeolites are a good thing, or why do I think the FDA gives sponsor like graft status? So a lot of times when people interview me, most of the time, what they're looking for is they know we sell a product in a certain category. We obviously have lots of competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And what they really want to know is, hey, why do you guys do it this way?
Uh-huh.
For example, we do a slow drying process on our green. Somebody else uses freeze drying. Why do you do that? And it doesn't quite sound like that's it. So I'm really just trying to get an understanding of that.
Well, I would ask about the product in detail. I would ask, where do you source the zeolite and how do you process it? And I'm curious about the minerals you put inside and how you get rid of the bad minerals. That's one thing I'm curious about, and I think the public would be curious about that too. But there are other things I would ask. I don't have a full list of questions on me right now. I can.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand. We're just having a talk. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I will. I am traveling pretty aggressively for about the next 4 weeks
Yeah.
of work.
Is there anyone,
And
do you think,
so-
that would? Because you know what I find interesting. Your website has, and I really appreciate it, that it has the chat feature.
Uh-huh.
And I'm asking questions, and it seems that they don't know the answer. It seems that nobody knows the answer, and it's very concerning, I have to say.
Yeah. So I've seen a transcript of all of your chat,
Yeah.
and some of your questions, I think, are the type of questions that I would see associated with a pharmaceutical product, not a nutritional supplement. And I don't know how much you know about the nutritional supplement industry or the regulations we operate under or any of those kinds of things, but whether we're talking about drug interactions or other dynamics, those aren't areas where a nutritional supplement company can participate, right? That's just not, our government's just governance. And that's whether we're in the U.S. or Canada, Australia, or wherever, that's not an area that we can get involved with. And so some of the questions that you've asked aren't areas that we're going to provide an answer for because it's outside of, our boundaries. So, the team does a pretty good job of questions. They've got a really well vetted by both medical experts and other people on their answers. I would imagine if you've looked at our website compared to other people that sell zeolites, man, it's pretty robust. We've got a lot of third-party testing information, link outs to PubMed research, university research, and other things. I mean, I think it's probably more robust than most, but I don't know all the companies out there. I would freely admit that. So, some of them just aren't going to be able to provide you the answer you're looking for.
I find it interesting when I ask about your product, the PBX, you say it sounds like you're asking about a pharmaceutical. Is it a pharmaceutical? Is it a...
No, it's a nutritional supplement.
But why do you think I'm asking about a pharmaceutical drug if I'm just asking about your product? I was a bit confused by that.
The product you were asking for some interactions, and so, hey, listen, you either find satisfaction in our answers or you don't, right? I can't really change that.
There are
right?
no...
And so,
I didn't get an answer,
if it
though.
it doesn't work.
I didn't get an answer to the questions, so I'm not satisfied because your team cannot answer my questions. It's strange.
I thought they answered the questions pretty good.
They said
the questions just weren't answerable.
Not answerable. I asked, for example,
We have people that will ask us about drug interactions or medical conditions, and that team is not licensed to do that, right? There's governance on how you would address those situations, and so they're not going to be able to provide an answer. We defer them back to their medical services professional.
Like for one example, I asked, is the zeolite in PBX inert? And then I was told it is inert. And then I said, what does inert mean? And one person said, it means there's no chemical reaction. And I said, isn't ion exchange a chemical reaction? because that's what Google says. If you Google is ion exchange a chemical reaction, it says yes. So it's just a bit confusing. And I wanted someone to clarify it, and then they said, well, Eddie Stone will answer your questions. So I'm like, well, why doesn't anyone else know the answers? Why is Eddie Stone seemingly the only one who knows the answers?
Yeah, I think what they should have done, and maybe they could have chosen their words better, but what I've discovered in my work with zeolites is they are generally considered inert. And for a lot of people, that means, for example, people might say, well, I've had a knee replacement. Is it the type of thing that may impact a foreign metal in my body like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is that operationally, you would not think that would be a possibility because it's considered inert. It's just generally a consensus out there, but there is a ion exchange, and if you want to refer to it that way, I see your point for sure.
Yeah. It seems that people need to be clear on the definition of inert.
I don't question that, but I think if you and I poked around the internet long enough, we'd find good, reasonable scientists out there that would probably slant that definition in a way that we could interpret it one way or the other.
And another question I had for them was, what minerals or metals does PBX strip from the body? And then they gave me a partial list, and I was like, can I have a full list? You know, because people are giving this to their babies, you know? So it's kind of concerning that they don't know the full list of minerals or metals that it removes from the body.
Well, I think if we were to look at where graft status comes from the FDA and sort of look at their core list, the basic heavy metals that are identified. But I'll be happy to go back and re-look at their list. All of that material has been looked at by third-party scientists, so there's a responsible undertaking on all those things. We certainly spend a lot of time on safety. So.
Okay, so can you maybe provide me with a full list after some studies are done, or is there a way that I can get a full list of minerals and metals that PBX strips from the body? Or do I just have to accept the partial list?
Yeah, what I'll commit to is I'm going to go back and take a look at what their answer was.
Yeah.
Again, and if I feel like that the answer is short or needs additional information,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll respond accordingly. I don't have it sitting in front of me.
No,
but I
of
will
course.
take a look at that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And like when I was talking to one of the, it might have been Amanda. I'm not sure though. I'm not 100% sure, but one of them told me that there's a difference between metals and minerals in the body, and then she quickly, it seemed like she did a quick Google search and copy and pasted something, and I found the source of what she copied and pasted. And it was funny because that actual website, that article actually claims that metals and minerals are the same thing, but she was trying to tell me it's metals and minerals are different. Do you know that metals and minerals are the same thing?
I think you could describe, let's say, lead, for example, as both a metal and a heavy metal. And I guess you could loosely call it a mineral. I mean, I just tend to not think of it that way, but I'm not going to argue the science on that. And so I don't think Amanda had any intentions, but it's also a situation where she's trying to understand and parse the question as best she can. And I'll take a look at what her response was, but there's nothing nefarious about Amanda's actions.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that. It was just I just think that.
But it does seem like you kind of are, which is okay. I mean, you can take any opinion you want.
It seems I'm nefarious.
Any angle you want. But
Did you say it seems that I'm nefarious?
No, I said it seems like you're taking a nefarious point of view on it. I mean,
No.
it seems like you're trying to parse her in a way, but just okay. Hey,
No,
listen,
I just
I
want,
get it.
I just want the
Everybody out there
facts.
can kind of approach things in any way they want to, and that's okay.
I'm just looking at it from a
I don't have a
factual,
challenge with that.
just a scientific, factual point of view. There's no side to it. I assure you.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any more, like, can I ask why did you want to do a call? Like, I can't imagine Eddie Stone, the CEO of Touchstone Essentials, a multi-million-dollar company, I imagine. I can't imagine you want to talk to too many people outside of your, you know, business partners or personal friends. Why did you want to talk to me?
Well, I don't know what your experience has been with other people involved in businesses, but I get requests quite frequently for interviews, either video-wise or
Okay.
audio-wise or in print, and I always try to speak to people ahead of time so I can understand, as I'm trying to prioritize and make a decision, where they're coming from. Do I think I can make a contribution or not? If I don't think I can make a contribution, then I don't. And so it's a common practice of mine.
Okay. Well, I admit I don't have much experience. So, based on my answers, do you think you would do a Zoom call with me and allow me to ask you some questions?
I don't know. I need to go back. Tomorrow I am trying to have a 6-week schedule.
Okay.
And I've got a pretty long list of things that people want me to do. So I just need to see what I think I can do and do reasonably well and what I don't.
Okay.
But I've got your email, and I'll do my best. I'll do my best to try to respond by end of day tomorrow, but please don't be offended if it bleeds over into Monday or Tuesday.
I know I won't. I know you're a busy man. But I am offended by you thinking that I have nefarious intentions.
I just said it seemed that way, and that's just an observation. I mean, I'm just telling you what it seems like, right?
Yeah, because I've always tried to be friendly with your staff and with you and anyone I interact with. Because there are people that are really concerned about this product, about all Zeolite products. It's not just yours. A lot of people have adverse reactions. I've seen people with alopecia. I've seen people having their hair turn rapidly gray. They're aging rapidly. Their teeth are decaying. There's a lot of adverse reactions that have happened. Are you aware of these?
The space I know involves the use of quinoptilolite, which is the naturally mined zeolite. I'll just put information on our website, but it's the naturally mined zeolite that has GRAS status from the FDA. And so I don't really, I haven't come across anything that's alarming to me. I understand the data with which the FDA made their decision, and it made common sense to me. I have seen synthetic products and powdered products that I don't know the nature of what those companies have done to prepare them, and I don't pretend that I do. So don't take that the wrong way towards those companies.
Okay.
But I haven't heard of those types of reactions on those products. But I don't know what I don't know in that regard.
So how do you know about my wife?
We stick pretty closely. I did some homework preparing myself.
So did you find her Instagram page?
I did.
But you missed the 6 highlights on Zeolite horrors? You didn't do a lot of good research if you missed those. You missed what would it be, like 500 adverse reactions? And then you're telling me that you haven't heard of any adverse reactions from Zeolite? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I didn't read those.
Okay. You missed that. Well, you can take a look at it.
Listen, I'm not trying to go back and forth with you. You seem like a nice guy. I just tried to do some general understanding so I could know what's the motivations here? What are we trying to accomplish, and can I help? Right? And
Yeah.
that's really what I want to do. If I can help, I can help. If I can't, I can't.
I just want to get the truth out. If you can help with that.
Your wife not being a fan of Zeolite is completely her business, right? That's not my business.
Yeah.
It's just something I kind of want to be knowledgeable of, right?
Yeah. And if you have nothing, if you've done nothing wrong, if your product has done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. You know, it's just the truth, and you know you're secure in your knowledge and your product, so you should be welcoming criticism because you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Hey, Darren, I'm 60 years old. Man, I've seen a lot of criticism.
I bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of life.
Yeah. Do you do any paid promotions for the products, or is it just through your sales reps?
I don't get paid for what I do.
Oh no, not you personally. Like, do you pay people other than the sales reps to promote PBX? Like, I saw on Joe Rogan, Terrence Howard was showing PBX off to the 7.5 million viewers of that video. I'm wondering, did you pay Joe Rogan or Terrence Howard for that promotion on PBX?
I did not.
Okay. I'm just curious.
I wished I was that smart.
Yeah.
Phone. I was with my son that Saturday, I guess, when the episode dropped, and I obviously know who Joe Rogan is, but it's not something I pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of texts from people saying, "Hey, your product was mentioned," and so I thought that was kind of fun. I even tried to look up Mr. Howard in our system, and I can't find anything related to him. I don't get celebrities that often use their personal details when they buy things, but no, we did not. But yeah, that was fun. I've never had us have an accidental name drop, so that was pretty cool.
I bet your sales went skyrocketing after that.
We saw some traffic increase on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but not anything I would, not what I would identify as a bump. Right? We just saw what I would think would be tire kickers or people that are just curious. And he said the name wrong.
I know. I was like, oh, pure body extract. I'm like, no, you did it wrong. Oh well.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. It certainly, when I watched the clip, I felt like he was being genuine to his own experience.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling and giving me that background. I will do my best to respond by the end of the day.
Okay.
Tomorrow. That's my goal.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Can I let you know on what I'm doing in the background? I just for full transparency.
Sure.
Yeah. So I have a petition for zeolites or clinoptolites to be reclassified as a drug. How do you feel about that?
I guess that's probably outside of my pay grade for people that make those kind of decisions, but as I've understood it in my career, I feel like the information that the regulators and people use to make their decisions seem pretty solid to me, so
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's my general opinion.
Yeah. Like, I think it would be
the consumption level on a global level and for decades. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that what they did seemed right, but I'm sure if the public asks for it, a re-review will take place.
Yeah, I think it would be great for the companies to have it official as like FDA approved. It's a drug. You know, you might be able to charge more for it. I don't know, but I think it would be good. I think it would be a good business move. But hey, what do I know?
Well, we don't sell drugs, right? So we're strictly working with nutritional supplements, and what we work with are all really fruits, vegetables, minerals. We're not involved in anything that would be in a drug category, right? So that's just not our business. But if the regulations change, and they change, and we'll operate to them.
I was watching your podcasts, and you claimed that humans throughout history have been eating zeolites. Is that correct?
As I understand the history, you can even go back as far as clay-eating societies in China, where, as I understand it, people with dysentery kind of pushed outside of their community or their village, right?
Yeah.
And with dysentery, you're chronically dehydrated and, frankly, could eat dirt. And so there was, in clay, you would find some zeolites.
Where in nature?
There's a little history there.
Where do you know of any place that you can find zeolite in clay form? Because as I understand it, it's a rock, it's a crystal, but not a clay. It's that's kind of different.
No, there's I'm going off of memory, but I'm gonna say there's between 49 and 52 natural types of zeolite. And some can be found in clays such as bentonite.
Bentonite clay. I've heard of bentonite clay.
People will use bentonite a lot like they will use charcoal as a detoxifier.
Yeah, I know about that.
If you analyze bentonite, you generally will find some amount of zeolite in it. So as a mineral, it kind of shows up in other places.
So maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was.
Deposit.
Okay. And so zeolite attracts positively, or is it? I keep getting this confused. Zeolite is positively charged, and it attracts negatively charged ions, or is it the other way around?
Other way around.
And so it's negative. Okay, sorry. Are there essential minerals that have that charge, like zinc and copper and magnesium? Don't they have that opposite charge of the zeolite, and therefore it would be attracted and absorbed by the zeolite?
As I understand it, they don't have as strong a charge as you might find with, say, lead or mercury as an example. And the zeolite would have a greater affinity for those. But as I have looked at the research, I've never seen any evidence to suggest that the zeolite lowers or affects the level of good electrolytes, things like potassium or magnesium or calcium. So I've never seen anything presented to me to suggest that it has a drain on that.
Because that's why I was asking about the full list of minerals that zeolite is attracted to. Because I think maybe it's a possibility that magnesium and zinc and copper and potassium and sodium could be attracted to. Because you just admitted that it doesn't have as strong as an affinity, so maybe it has a slight affinity.
I just know there's no research to suggest that it lowers or negatively impacts the amount of those good electrolytes or minerals in people's bodies.
Okay, maybe more research needs to be done.
I don't know, when you're using words, if you're trying to make a case here that you're trying to do something at a middle ground and you're saying, I just admitted something, that's just an odd approach.
It's just factual, because you said that it doesn't have as strong as an affinity. Sorry if I misunderstood.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, I've got my next call. As promised, I will communicate tomorrow. I appreciate you being on time. That's a really nice thing that not everybody does.
Well, I appreciate you accepting the call and letting me speak to you, and I appreciate you answering all my questions. Can I ask what state are you in?
I live in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Cool. I've never actually been to the US.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some lovely parts.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you, and I hope to hear from you soon. And if I don't, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Bye.
Bye bye.